You bought all your presents?
Not one. My wife does all that, B.
You don't do anything?
I don't, no. I mean, she's...
Do y'all buy presents for each other?
Yes, we do. But it's kind of one of those things to where this is what I want. I'll go ahead and take care of that so that I don't have to exchange it.
So you say, Christy, don't buy me anything. I'm going to go ahead and buy my present, and this will be from you.
It's more the other way around. It's for her. She tells me that, not me.
Oh, she buys her present and says, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that.
I basically just tell her I don't need anything. But she ends up, her and the kids always get me something that I needed. Like a shirt that may have a hole in it that she's ready to get rid of that I like a lot. Yep. You know, it's kind of dear to my heart. She'll somehow trash it and get me a new shirt.
Well, y'all have got your routine figured out. We have we got a project manager here. You'll know Stuart.
Oh yeah.
I was not going to say his name, but I'm going to say his name. So Stuart came in my office earlier this week, and he said, you know, I'm dating this new girl, and I said, well, you got her Christmas present picked out. He said, she told me not to get her anything for Christmas.
She is so smart. Because I know Stuart very well, and he probably cannot pick her out any clothes at all.
said, Stuart, do not fall for that. I said, that is a trap. I said, no. He said, she told me she will be mad at me if I buy a present. I said, she will be more mad if you don't.
I think you need to stick to her advice.
Really?
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely.
Stuart, I gave you different advice.
I've met her. Yeah.
Brian, you probably ought to go with Brian's advice. I take it back. I'll take it back. You ready to get going?
Absolutely.
The sound of that tractor means it's time for us to go to work. You're listening to the Give Us the Dirt podcast powered by Hoopaugh Grading Company. My name is Brandon. I am your host, and today we've got Brian McManus, owner and president of Hoopaugh Grading Company, in the studio with us. Brian, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How long has it been since we did this?
A while.
It's been a while. It's been a while. You've had...
Seemed like it was just yesterday, though. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I still get people that come up to me and say, I just listened to Brian's first episode. I mean, you were the first podcast that we had on Give Us the Dirt. And I think people still enjoy going back and listening to that first one with you. Yeah. That was a special one.
Well, you did a great job.
We were both cutting our teeth on that.
You pulled someone that basically said, hey, I don't know about this podcast thing, and you got me in a room and somehow recorded me. You did a great job on that.
I don't think any of us knew about this podcast thing, but here we are. We still got people listening, and it's been a good year. We had some good guests in the studio this year, had some cool series that we were able to do, and the team's already got some really cool stuff lined up for 24. So...
No, I think they've all been wonderful. I get so many calls and emails from the topics that the guests talk about. The guests, I mean, themselves. I mean, everybody's been just phenomenal. And then you and Bam Bam. I mean, everybody's like, man, they're superstars. I mean, it's just what an honor.
It's fun
to be able to work with each of you.
It's fun. It's fun. We're having a good time. Well, so here we are. We're at the end of 23. When you think about 23 and you think about the kind of year it is, what comes to your mind? How was 23 for you? You know,
you and I talk about this a lot because we meet regularly. I think, 2023 was, it's almost like it was not very different from any other year, with the exception of, and then that exception of is a lot. I mean, because you kind of got to take, I think, 2023 all the way back to COVID. When COVID hit in 2020, we 3 or 4 months there. I think we had 30 to 40% of our business stop, pause, or delay, and then we found shovel ready, work with a lot of the e-commerce that was going on in the Charlotte area, and then everything that was stop, pause, or delay was back on. And I mean, it was just, oh goodness, what are we going to do? We've got the work. We don't know how long this is going to last because we didn't know where COVID was going to go with things. And we had to expand, and we started expanding. And in essence, I mean, we didn't double in size, but we probably increased 60% our head count. And, we just started working hard. 2020, 2021, and then 2022, that it's really when you started having the material issues and not being able to get equipment. And, we really didn't have a people problem, and maybe we had an experience problem and a skills problem, which maybe we can get into that here shortly. But it it become very difficult in 2022 to get anything done because either you couldn't get the iron or you couldn't get the product that you need to put in the ground so that you could get the job done. And then so 2022, you still had new projects coming on board. Things were getting permitted and signing new contracts. So you're starting all this new work. Well, then here's 2023. You've got plenty of backlog, but yet a lot of that backlog is still trying to wrap up older projects, pre-COVID, post-COVID. So you've kind of got a whole lot of stuff that you're finishing at the same time that it actually in 2023, you're starting less. So you end up with fade. I mean, we've had a profit fade. You're hemorrhaging cost, and 2023 I think was the year of we got a lot to get done. We got to get these projects off the books so that we can just have a good solid 2024 moving forward. But if you look back on it, 2022 things really started kind of slowing down. I mean, at June of 2022 to the beginning of 2023, there wasn't a whole lot of contracts signed and there wasn't a whole lot of projects started. We still had, again, plenty of backlog, I think, from the 2020, 2021 time frame, but you saw that kind of contraction in the market. Now, I think that contraction was a good thing. I think every contractor around here would tell you that a breather would be great because, I mean, it's been tough to get things done the way that things have been stretched out. But with that said, you had in 2022, you had fuel and material price increases, and then obviously our labor market is continuing to be very, very competitive. 2023, it was everything. Mm-hmm. Fuel was better, which when you look at fuel, that was a big item in 2022. But in 2023, it's down, but it ain't nowhere near down enough to take care of, your health care cost, man, your office goods, your parts for your equipment, your pickup trucks. Then the interest just compounds. I mean, the interest rates going through the roof. I mean, your lease rates going through the roof with residuals being low versus high. So your payments, I mean, everything has gone up. And you're like, when you look at your G&L costs and look at your income statements now, and we've been looking at that laser focus every time we close out a month all year, and it's like, wow, it's everywhere now. And I think the inflation that we heard in 2022 that we're continuing to hear today, I think I know at least for this company, Hoopaugh Grading Company, we have felt more of that pain in 2023 than we did in 2022. And
that's interesting to hear you say that, because it's almost like, I mean, even going back to COVID, as you said, each year we've gotten a new blow, a new variable that was introduced into the equation that we'd never dealt with before and definitely weren't prepared to deal with. And it just kept coming and kept coming and coming. And then here we are at 23 and we're dealing with it all. And in some ways, would you say that we as a company have worked harder?
Absolutely. It is. I mean, our team has been fantastic. Could we have improved? Absolutely. But I do think 2023 has helped us identify how we can get better. We're always, striving to be better.
But you're working harder and possibly not getting as much.
Well, that's it. I mean, you're working, I'd say, twice as hard in some areas, and you're not yielding nowhere near what the work should yield.
And that's just everything coming to a head. It's coming together.
It's the same thing you hear on the news when you hear people going to the grocery store. I'm not getting as much in my buggy for the $100 that I could get 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's the same thing with business. There's not as much left over to give back to the team.
Yeah. And in our business, it takes a while before you start realizing that in your budgets. You can start building those things in, but you may not feel that until 18 months. Well,
absolutely.
Later.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the uncertainties are just, you don't know them. And so therefore they're not in your budgets. I mean, a lot of the work we're doing now in 2023 probably was a 2021 cost estimate. Yeah. Stuff we wrapped up at the beginning of the year could have been a 2019, 2020, depending on how long the projects are. Every contract structured different. And some and we had, our customers did a really good job with some of the material crisis. I mean, but we had some that we were just locked in and had to somewhat hemorrhage that and absorb all that cost. But you're right. I mean, it's like it all just hit. this year. Still great backlog,
Yep.
but you're just keeping less of it.
Yeah.
You
got a lot of work. There's a lot of work out there. And if I hear you right, you're working harder than you've probably worked in the last 10 years. You're just not realizing
Absolutely.
as much.
No, absolutely. I mean, you're right.
Do you see that carrying into 2024?
I do. I really do.
More of the same?
I think it'll finally even out. I mean, we've been able to try to get some of this cost into our cost estimates. The problem that you've got now is there's not as much work. So
So you are seeing it pull back.
We've seen it pull back some. I mean, I think the supply side. I mean, so therefore of the work, then therefore demand's going to get up, and then the prices are going to I think prices may go down some, but everybody's still got a decent backlog. But I think really anybody in our industries yet has saw the full effect of it. I mean, because the other piece behind it is folks in our industry, at least in this area, I mean, they might have been holding on to some equipment that they had, or they couldn't get the equipment. Yeah. Well, now that they can get the equipment prices are a whole lot higher. The finance rates are a whole lot higher. Well, all of that at some point will get into those job costs. And so I think a lot of the things that we felt like healthcare, just your basic cost of goods within the business, your insurance, and then your pickup trucks and all your basic equipment, a lot of that got put in 2023. But then some of the bigger stuff is going to start baking in 2024. So I think 2024 is going to be a year of balancing out. I do think the contraction, though, a bit will help us, get our teams where they need to be. I mean, the one thing that, we all, I think every contractor, I know at least in the Charlotte area, everybody's really busy. Everybody I talk to don't have enough people. We've, for the most part, I mean, we've felt some of that, but we've had a really solid team. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the team that we brought on to expand has the knowledge and experience that they need to be at the height of efficiency. It takes time to build operators and laborers to do the things that we do, and you're not going to get those returns in a year.
Yeah.
So a lot of that labor issue that we've all faced, not just construction but the entire industry, it takes time to get those people to where they're those star athletes.
That's
that
interesting.
can catch
Brian.
the ball.
A lot of people, if I'm just listening to you, it almost sounds like, and correct me if I get this wrong, but it almost sounds like things pulling back a little bit. You're okay with that?
Absolutely. No, I think we can retool. I mean, I think we can get we've got our academy, our team development group. I mean, I think we can get out there and put the touches that we need because we've got the time to do it, and we'll make the time, and we'll have enough staff to be able to do that, and just kind of retool,
that whole mindset that maybe you could do less and make more.
Well, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it, because when you stretch yourself, I mean, you're not going to pull in as much for the team.
What are you most proud about for 23? Looking back over the last year, is there anything that just like you say that was a good win?
Well, number one, I mean, I'm very blessed to be able to be a part of this organization, first and foremost. And I mean, the team, I think I have to say this. I mean, I'm 6 years in a row, top workplace, nominated 4 years in a row, best place to work. I mean, I'm very proud of that. I think our team deserves all the credit because that's all them, but what knowing the issues and all some of the problems that we've dealt with. I mean, whether it be coordination of materials or equipment or individual skill sets, and the adaptability of our team to always look at this thing like, look, we're going to get through this. We're going to get this job done. I know it's wet or this individual might not quite be as efficient as he needs to. They always somehow figure out a way to divide and conquer. And they get things done. And I think the one thing, too, in 2023 that I am very, very proud of is our team is having each other's backs.
Yeah.
In the heat of the battle in what we do, sometimes that can get tough for men and women to have each other's backs. I mean, because there's issues that happen. There's debriefs that obviously not just point the finger, but I mean, we find our problems. I mean, Hoopaugh Grading does a really good job of trying to figure out, okay, what's the root cause of any opportunity that we have to do better. And sometimes that stings a little bit for folks. But I'm very proud of how our team has really worked together on that end. And then just where we live. I mean, our community is continuing to grow. I mean, I do feel that if it wasn't for our community that we're in, we wouldn't have the opportunity to serve our customers like we do. That is building the Charlotte area.
Well, this company and you personally give a lot back to this community too, and I know you're proud of that. You're not going to say anything, but I'm going to jump back to that top workplace piece of it and I'm glad you brought that up. That's not an award that you get, that I get. This represents everybody at Hoopaugh, 775 team members that were part of that. But what's really cool about that, and what makes me proud too, is that you're not awarded that by a panel or a committee of judges. That comes from the people. They actually tell you how they feel about the organization, how they feel like they're being treated, how they think about where we're going, what they're excited about. So it's a reflection of how they feel about the place that they work every day. And I love the fact that not only did we win it this year, we got number one.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the other part, I knew you weren't going to say this part, but I'm going to say it because I can, is that you were awarded the Leadership Award for Top Workplace. So, I mean, that's huge. That's a huge honor. And again, I know you wouldn't say that, but that was a reflection of what the 775 team members that we have believe in you.
It's the men and women that put their boots and Jordans on every day and show up on our job sites, to achieve our goals. And that's all them. I mean, it really is. I mean, I'm so proud to be part of that. And,
I know you are.
I think that's a big win. To find that out at year end, because I mean, they've heard me every month, guys. We got to tighten up. We got to tighten up. We need to find that low-hanging fruit. We need to be efficient. We need to be safe. We need to be productive. And, but to get that at the year end, like we was awarded here in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I mean, it puts the icing on the cake for the year.
That's big.
Yeah.
So what about lessons learned? You learn anything in 2023 that just stands out to you, something that'll change how you lead moving forward?
We've been laser focused on our vision. I think we somewhat learn every
Which
quarter
is?
just to be the best. To be the best in the Carolinas, but now we're trying to maybe achieve that nationwide, even though we don't work nationwide. I think what I've learned probably most is you have to really, really make sure that you're constantly communicating and defining and helping folks with that vision of what that means. And I think as we get better, which that's what our team has, they continuously get better and better together. So we've got to, what I've learned this year is we've got to continuously define what better means. Because once you get to the point where you're up with top workplace, you're heavyweight champion, well, what is there above that? Well, the fact of the matter is you can go a lot higher with each other. And so I think that's one thing that I've learned. And I don't know the answer to that. That's where I think our team's got to be pulled together here, maybe after the first of the year, and maybe we revisit our VTO and we talk about let's redefining, what the best means. But that's kind of what I've learned for the year. And then I've also learned that, and it's our world's kind of in the site industry is if it's wet, we don't get a whole lot done. If it's dry, it's just you're getting a whole lot done, but it's painful, along the way. But the cycle does ebb and flow, and it's. But what I have learned in 2023, I guess, is where I'm long-winded answer here is, I think things are normalizing. I think we're finally getting rid of the COVID stigma, and although it's definitely caused issues, with getting things done, and you're seeing profit fade in some areas, but when you look at everything else, the trajectory is north. It's just we're headed, we're laser focused to achieve our goals. 2024, I think 2024 is going to be a fantastic year. I mean, I was telling everybody at breakfast, I mean, just look, don't dwell in 2023 wasn't, it was still a good year. I mean, I would probably say from a lot of companies where it was stellar compared to some, but 2024, I think, has the makings of just being just huge. If our team, which they will take and continue doing what they did with the resilience and hard work that they did in 2023, you push it into 2024, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear you say that, because you also, you said we're not necessarily going to be free from all the things that we've been dealing with over the last 3 years. They're still going to be there. And we might be even facing a little bit of shrinkage in the market and things pulling back a little bit. But yet, at the same time, you believe this has potential to be the best year that we've had in a long time.
Absolutely. And it's not all about profitability neither. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we've got a lot of young folks that I think they're going to come into their prime in 2024. We've got a lot of young operators that'll be efficient and they'll be productive, and then we've got some operators that'll step into some leadership roles and start leading teams, and then we've got current leaders that they're going to really get into their stride to where they're going to become better leaders, servant leaders, and then obviously our senior leadership. I mean, they're continuously getting better and better and better and identifying problems, opportunities. How about that? To move the needle. And when you do that, that right there, that's working under the hood, so that you can somewhat capitalize on those opportunities that are out there in the future.
Yeah, I like that.
And you're having fun. You're enjoying it. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Well, yeah, if you're not having fun, all the other things aren't going to happen if they're not enjoying their jobs. And thinking about themes for next year and things that we're trying to work on as a company, and I imagine a lot of other companies in our space are doing the same. Are there any emerging themes when you think about what we're going to be focused on over the next 12 months in 2024? What are some themes? Well,
one is which I've put this message out on our videos, but then also our breakfasts that we've had here at year end, that look, all of you matter. Everybody here is a stakeholder in the company. Everything you do, your actions, showing up for work, getting the work done, working all day, being there to support the team, all that matters. Those little things that may seem as if they don't, they do, and they not only do they affect the entire company, they affect each of you, each of the individuals that work here, and also our customers. We're here to serve our customers. Everything they do can either move the needle up or down, and if you move the needle down, that's less prosperity and opportunities for our team. But if you can change those little things to get better, it really moves the needle. And our whole goal for 2024 really is to say, guys, look, you're all stakeholders in this. It's not just Brian McManus. I mean, it's everybody here. You have the ability to move the needle.
I love that word. I love that mindset too, because it creates a mindset of ownership. Yep. Even though they're not owners of the company, they have something at stake in it. They are affected personally by the success or the failures of the company. And so I love that mindset. What's really cool is for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been drilling into our team that, hey, you're leaders. Every one of you are leaders. If you've got the ability to influence somebody, you are a leader.
Absolutely.
And we've been driving that message in, and I think now we got 775 leaders out there that see themselves as leaders. Now the message is not only you're a leader, now you're a stakeholder. You can't look at something out on a job and say, well, that doesn't matter to me. That's not going to impact me. I'll let somebody else deal with that. If we actually see ourselves as stakeholders, then everything that happens impacts us at some level.
Absolutely.
I love that message.
No, I think it's true. I mean, it really is, and they are stakeholders. I mean, they everything they do each and every day has the ability to move the needle
and to impact what ends up in their pocket.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, you give a lot of money back.
Oh yeah, and we want to give more. That was the thing. I mean, all the talks we've had, it's like, because we've been very transparent of, how where we stand, financially, and we tell them what we're giving back, and it's a significant amount. Yeah. But to be able to, combat all the inflation and get the the raises that they need, but also bring home the bonuses that they need to live. That's the thing. Our industry, and I think you hear this a lot. I mean, you can call it inequality or whatever it is, but I mean, men and women in this industry, they need to be able to live off what we're paying them. And I have a big passion and heart to where if we can achieve these goals that we're talking about, meaning you're a stakeholder and you're being the best and you're being efficient out there every day, we can be so far above our competition and you'll bring home way, way more money, but we can still compete with them and get the work done. That's the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, we want everybody to prosper. It's not just one person or a group of people within an industry. I mean, we want everybody that works at Hoopaugh Grading Company to prosper. I mean, you should be able to have a good Christmas with your kids and have a retirement.
I know that gives you joy.
Oh, it does.
I watch
Absolutely.
you find joy in somebody getting their new home or getting a car or being able to send their kid off to college. I've seen how much joy that gives you. And I know that that's authentic and real, and you really do want that. And then you're right. Everybody should have that opportunity. Some of the things this year that have really impacted me that I've learned from it is we have benefited a lot as a company from collaboration, a lot more than we've ever done in the past. I think what's happening in our industry, people are starting to talk about the fact that we're all dealing with the same issues. We've got the same problems, but nobody's doing anything about it. We've had the opportunity to participate in some really cool peer groups this year. You and I have sat in on some of those. Our team got to go to the Dirt World Summit, the very first Dirt World Summit, which I thought was awesome.
Amazing. I
thought it was really cool because I've never seen an event like that was focused purely on the people and the development issues.
Well, and not purely on the people, it was the site contractors. Yep. And the heavy iron, the dirt world.
Yep.
I mean, in essence, I think that was what was really, really cool. I mean, we met some fantastic companies and, a lot of folks out there that are really doing everybody's got a plan, and a lot of them are doing a lot about it.
Yep.
And but what we need everybody doing something about it.
And we've learned a lot from some of these companies.
Absolutely. Very, very talented companies out there and doing a lot of great things.
I think that collaboration's got to become a bigger part of our strategy moving forward. Obviously, our collaboration's taking place with site contractors outside of this market, but within the rules, you really can do that, and you should do that, and you can learn a lot.
I mean, how we train our people, educate our people. I mean, the technologies that we use. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll tell any of our competitors, our playbook's open for you. I mean, we're here for support. Maybe you know something we don't know. We may know a few things that would help benefit any of our competitors or anybody around the state. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to change our industry, if we're going to get those high school graduates and those college graduates to get into the dirt world, the only way that's going to happen is if we work together. It can't be one company that has a good story to pull someone out of school, because that one company is probably not going to have enough positions available if we could really change the narrative where people want to get into our industry. So every competitor needs to be focused on that. You should be focused on how you treat your people, workforce development, but change the narrative that this profession called the dirt world, the site work industry, it is not a bad gig at all. It is fun. It's just a fun gig.
Hey, I brought this up in the last episode with Bam Bam, but there was an article in Forbes that talked about 10 biggest business trends in 2024 to get ready for. And I just, without going through all of them, I wanted to get your thoughts. One of them was a skills shortage.
So first of all, was this Bam Bam's copy of Forbes?
Bam Bam is, he brought in his copy of Forbes. He's been a long-time subscriber, reads it religiously.
Okay, I might see if I can borrow that from him.
I'm sure he would let you borrow his Forbes magazine. So
the skills gap is definitely an issue, and I think you got to look at it. That skills is almost like the word communication. It's a big word, but when you talk about soft skills and hard skills, I personally think, and again, this is not throwing a dart at the education system or anything like that, but we focus on educating kids to at some point become adults, and they build our world. You know, what no matter what position that they choose in life, but they end up they're the leaders of our world. You know, they're out there, and then the one thing that we see that is very, very hard to fix is that soft skill piece. We can teach people how to run a machine. We can teach people how to lay pipe, how to use an instrument, how to do takeoffs and things like that. But that soft skill is so important to them. And what I mean by soft skills is like, what does it really take to live, to navigate life? I mean, and budgeting and finance,
personal finance,
you know, and then okay, at some point, you know, you're only going to yield so much in whatever you do, whether it's within our industry or whatever industry you go in. But it's almost like when you talk to a lot of these, it's not just younger folks. I mean, it's people that are in their 30s and 40s that's really, I think, made our industry tough. Is like that soft skills is difficult, and then it ends up when they get out there in life, they struggle. You know, whether they struggle financially or they struggle just trying to figure things out. I mean, even navigating our healthcare system. I mean, it's hard to figure that out. I mean, we've got, you know, Nurse Kelly here now that with our group that helps navigate issues. I mean, it's some of this stuff, it's like, wow, is it really that hard to go to the doctor? You know, but all this is real, and it's not just your work problems. It ends up being home problems, and those home problems become work problems, and work problems become home problems. But I think if not just our teammates, and we work on this with a lot of them, and I think that's an initiative that our team development group is going to continue to work on, is some of these soft skills. But if somehow you could get these kids in 6th grade from 6 to 12, and these are life classes, not once a year or twice a year, or having people come in and talk to them. I mean, every day, have a curriculum that's about life. But not about it. It needs to be just the facts. We don't need to get in opinions and all that crap. I mean, but it just needs to be, this is what compound interest is. This is how you balance a checkbook. If you make X, this is what you pay taxes. This is your 401k. But this is what you're going to have left to go and buy that truck or buy that home, pay your electric bill, your phone bill, or whatever else needs that you have in life. That right there is missing. And it's big.
It's big, and you can't avoid it as an employer. Like that's got to become part of the strategy.
Yep.
And like you said, we're really good at teaching the hard skills, but the soft skills, we can't ignore those either. We've got to figure out how to do that. You know, yes, you need help from the school system. We need help from the parents. We need help from the homes. We need help from everybody to do that, but we can't ignore it as employers. And that goes into one of the other trends that was in the magazine, which is the loss of personal touch. And I think that there's a similar thread that runs through both of these that you mentioned there. It's that soft skills, you know, the emotional intelligence, communication, problem solving, you know, and a lot of things are leading to that. You know, remote working is not helping us with this loss of personal touch. That's one of the things that we're going to have to deal with as well. How do we recreate that? And I know that's something that we're focused on. Our team development group is really trying to think about in 24, how do we get everyone to look at, instead of customer service, how do we look at HGC's customer experience?
Yep.
What does that look like? Every interaction that we have impacts our customer experience, our client experience.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to be a great initiative. I'm looking forward to see it through.
It's a tough one to tackle, but it addresses a lot of the things that you're talking about. We've got to invest in the soft skills and the hard skills. That's got to be part of the strategy. You have any goals for 24? Do you sit down at the end of the year and come up with your New Year's resolutions?
Absolutely not.
You don't do New Year's resolutions? No, you never have?
Never have. Yeah. I mean, why you want to pick something once a year? Why don't you just do it daily and make it happen? You know what I mean? I mean, it's...
So you reset every day?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got a plan and agenda, but I mean, you know, I get after it, and our team gets after it. And,
I like that.
You know, our vision is the same. I mean, we'll check in 2028.
Well, I love that. What about personal goals? You got any personal goals?
Personally is just to continue to support the team here. This team supports me, and when that happens, I can support my family, and be there for my kids and my wife, and just be the best husband I can be on that end. I think I'm doing okay, right now. Daddy sometimes. Depends on how happy the kids are. But honestly, from a personal standpoint, I love what I do. I love this business. I love the people here. My personal goals is to be the best leader that I can be for them and this company, to see it through for many, many years to come. And that's really what my outlook would be for 2024.
Yeah. And I know you talk a lot too, and you talked earlier in the podcast about developing that next layer of leaders too. I know that's a huge goal of yours, to get that next group ready.
It is. Succession planning, strategic planning, whatever you want to call it. We've got, an awesome group of, senior leaders, mid-level leaders, junior. We got all these different entry level, but we've got some folks that we've got to really start getting ready. I'm 47, I still got a lot of gas in the tank, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like what we talk. You don't learn this overnight. It takes time to learn this, and we've got to be very intentional about starting to pull in the next generation to help, that will lead this company for many, many years to come.
That's great. That's great. Elizabeth asked me the other day, she said, what's your New Year's resolution? I'm the same way. I don't really have New Year's resolutions, but I do have some personal goals, and this is going to sound fruity-tooty a little bit, but I want to, in 24, I want to love more. I want to love more. I want to, we live in a world where so many people are fighting. There's polarization of values and ideals, and everybody's on opposite ends of everything. And I just want to be able to see people the way God sees them. And we're all broken. Everybody's dealing with crap. Everybody's got stuff going on at home and work. But yeah, we worry too much about who's right, who's wrong.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. And I can assure you and Elizabeth, y'all, if your love meter can get any higher, man, let me see.
Can.
You know what I tell her.
To.
Yeah, y'all are so good.
Let me ask you this: what in 24 what do you want to see change within our industry?
Oh, man, I think we all need to come together on this skills thing. Number one, I think we've got to figure that out.
When you say come together, like actually huddle up.
I think there should be peer groups. How can we come together with our competitors and other folks and just look, what are we struggling with? And then how can we legislate this stuff? Is there things that we can move the needle together, whether it's investment, into certain associations or develop an association where they'll go out there and work with these schools, and because we've tried it and we're doing some really cool things, but we can't do it alone.
Right.
It's going to take an army to figure this out, but it's also going to take legislation so that it can get to the school boards and be passed so that they can actually use this stuff. We see that a lot of times where they want to, we want you to help, but we really can't let you in the school. We can't use you and things like that. And I get it. It's liability and it's not part of the plan. But I think if we can come together, that can happen. The other thing that is, and I've mentioned this on another podcast, is maybe what a lot of folks that listen to this podcast probably understand it, but there's people that don't work in construction industry that listen to this podcast wouldn't know this. But 10%, 5 to 10% of our earnings of revenue is held up in what's called retainage. And, I've been at this, man, a long time, and every time there's nothing makes sense about that. When I go and get a Coca-Cola out of a machine it ain't $1 anymore, I don't get to tell that machine, I'm going to hold 10 cents of that, and I'm going to drink that Coca-Cola, and if I don't like it, I'm going to wait a few days before I give you that extra 10 cents. Think about that. You go to the grocery store, the customer doesn't get to hold 10% for his milk and bread. Nowhere else in the world does that happen. You go to buy a car, we buy a piece of equipment, we don't get to say, well, we're going to hold 10% to make sure that it runs right and we like it. We have relationships, we have contracts that hold people accountable to do their jobs.
That's what the
to
contracts
do it
are
right.
for. Yeah.
How to fix issues, but yet that money, the only reason it's being held is leverage.
Yeah.
We sit people down and ask those questions all the time, but that really needs to change, because if you think about our industry, we talk about the skills gap and we talk about people. It takes money to move the needle. It takes investment. It's just like our academy here. I mean, this is...
It's not free.
It's not free. I mean, the people, we've got a staff of 18 people. I mean, it's a sizable amount of your gross income. But if you can cash flow these things, it's a whole lot easier to inject, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and put it back in the community. But when 10%, 5 to 10, in most cases, the average is about 8, is held up in retainage, you pay Uncle Sam, you pay your bonuses out to your team because they worked hard, they deserve it. They shouldn't have to wait 18 months to collect. But in short,
that's your working capital.
The working capital that you collect in 2023 was work that you finished in 2021 and 2022. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Whoever come up with that years ago, I don't know. Maybe then it needed to be there, but
that's who we need to get in here on the podcast. No, I know you're passionate about that.
It's not just passion. It's just frustrating. I mean, because if you had that as a business owner, you could do so much more for your people in your community. I mean, every contractor in town could be building academies and doing things to move the needle, but also have sustainability. I mean, you shouldn't have to hit credit lines and things like that for your profit, when you need to do certain things. And luckily we've been at this a long time, and, I don't mean this in a way that, where I'm poor mouthing. I mean, it doesn't make good business sense. Nobody does that in any other, I don't know of any other industry that says we're going to hold your money.
It's not a level playing field.
And it's not just they're holding your money. The way we bill and how sometimes it takes a while to even collect that 90%. So, and there's other states across the country that has legislation for this. There's ways to work around this. If you need leverage, there's things called bonds and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, look, we build relationships. We're here to stay. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. If you don't, there's a contract in place to handle that's what the contract is for. So that's one thing that I would love to see changed. And obviously a strong advocate of it, but it is kind of the industry standard. Mm-hmm. It's throughout. I mean, I do think on, a lot of the public work is if you bond it, there's no retainage. So I think the private market needs to be getting on board with that.
Awesome. That's a whole nother episode, isn't it?
Oh man, I don't know. We better be careful with that one. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think that would really help because again, we're passionate about moving the needle with our team.
Yeah.
And when you want to get them a jacket and get them the PPE they need and keep up, with the raises. I mean, you have to cash flow all that.
Yeah.
It's better to cash flow it with the money you earn. That's a smart way to do it.
Well, Brian, this has been great. I appreciate your perspective, your leadership, and but really the outlook that we have for this industry and for this company and for the upcoming year. I'm excited after hearing you talk about it. Yeah, we've got some challenges. Yeah, we have some things that we've got to continue to improve on to be the best. But it sounds like we've got a lot to be thankful for. We've been blessed in this market, and we've got a good year coming up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I fully agree, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that happens.
All absolutely. Right. You going to keep listening to the podcast in 24?
I will. Yeah, I'll keep listening.
Can we get you back in the studio again next year?
I don't know, man. This may be too soon to talk about.
I'm proud of you. You always, I know this is not your favorite thing to do, but people love listening to you. I love having you in here, and thank you for coming in and sharing with us a little bit.
Well, thank you, and you're great too. By the way, I know you
all right, that's
get told that all the time, but you're awesome at this, and matter of fact, can I have your autograph before we leave?
That's it. Brian, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for being in. Look forward to running this back again next year.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you for digging in with us on this episode of Give Us the Dirt, powered by HGC. If you liked what you heard, make sure you leave us a rating and a review, and subscribe now on our Apple, Spotify, or YouTube channels so you never miss an episode. To share feedback or suggest our next guest, visit our website at giveusthedirtpodcast.com.